Welcome back inside of season 3 of Trash Chatter. I'm your host, Victoria Conway, and today I'm pleased to be joined by Chris Gentry from Charleston, South Carolina. He runs his company Happy Cans out of there. But today, outside of trash bin cleaning, we're going to talk to him about another service that he created for trash can cleaning companies everywhere, My Service Area, which helps you map out your area. And we will let Chris get into the details of it. But want to thank him for joining the show. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me. Excited to finally be here. I've been bugging your dad about being a guest on the show.
No, thank you. We appreciate that. I like when people reach out because I sometimes feel bad saying, "Hey, do you want to come on?" Some people are like, "Nope, I don't do cameras," but I know you do plenty of demos and you've got experience with it, so it should be a good episode.
Yes, yes. Excited. Very excited to spread the word.
So before we get into MSA, Chris, how did you first start doing trash can cleaning? Tell us a little bit about your background and what led you to even discover this industry.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I consider myself a serial entrepreneur, and I had this texting software company before all this. And one of my customers is the person who actually started Happy Cans. And he had told me that he had sold it to a young guy in a neighboring town, and he was selling it after 9 months or so of ownership. I guess he thought it'd be great to be a business owner, and found out what it really takes to be a business owner, and said it's not for me. I'm going back to the corporate world. And so when I found out about that, I engaged, ended up buying the business, and that's been about 3 years ago now. And I've been an owner operator. And when I bought the business, I said, I'm not going to change anything for 90 days. I want to understand what's going on with the business. And with the one exception, I did bump up the one-time cleaning costs because they were just way too low. And so during that 90 days, I was just tracking miles and visits. And what I realized, especially in the summertime, well, I guess in the spring it kicks off. I use Jobber, and I would come home and I'd have 5, 10, 15 requests. And I would have to look up every one of those addresses to see if I could service them. And it just became overwhelming. I was spending so much time because, if I didn't service them, then I'd have to send an email or send a text or a phone call and say, "Hey, sorry, I don't service your address." So that's what really started. I identified that problem, and I started looking around to see if there was a solution out there that could help me create a profitable service area and filter these inquiries. And there wasn't anything out on the market except a zip code filter, and zip codes were just too broad for me. I needed something that went down to the street level, and that's where MSA came about, the idea for it.
So MSA helps you automatically qualify your website leads based on an address, not a zip code, like you mentioned. So maybe walk us through a little bit, Chris, when a consumer goes to your website, what will they find and how does MSA help filter out some of those people?
Awesome question. I'm glad you asked that, because some of the hesitation that we get from people is, well, this will disrupt the conversion rate, or this will be just one more step in the process these guys have to do. And what we're finding that it's MSA is really becoming a customer service tool, because the website visitor comes to your site. You either in the bin cleaning world, you can either buy the service on the website or you can request service. And so the website visitor clicks a buy button or a request service. And let me back up. So MSA is a line of code or a WordPress plugin that attaches to your website, and it attaches or is implemented in your website, added to your website, and it attaches the buttons. So buy now, more information, get a free quote, request service, wherever you'd like it to. And so when the website visitor comes to your site, they click, buy now, the window pops up, and this is all customizable. So I'm just making this up, but your time matters to us. So let's check your address first to see if we even service your address. They enter in their address. If they get through, if they're in one of your service areas, they get through to the buy page. If they're not, it says, "Hey, sorry, we don't service your address at this time, but we're a growing company. Leave us your name and email and phone number. We can follow up with you." And so that's how the engagement works on the front end.
Awesome, Chris. And one of the aspects I think that's really neat is let's say someone doesn't have MSA and they don't really have a filter, even if it's just zip codes. And you charge somebody, they sign up, they don't ever call in and go over where it is, you charge them. How does that back end process take away your time and also, let's say, your secretary's efficiency and obviously money out of your pocket with doing refunds?
Yeah, so let me share a story about Mike Walker. So Mike Walker's been with us since the very beginning. He and Dan from Ben Heroes and Jason Proctor, especially because he helped facilitate conversations with your dad and Sparkling Men. So big thanks to him. But the story with Mike Walker is that he services in Atlanta, and some of his clientele is in that Bravo, the Housewives, and that Bravo show. And he shared the story with me that one of the housewives in Atlanta made an Instagram post or something. All of a sudden, Mike Walker got all these buys from California. This is pre MSA, and he was like, I had to return like $200-$300. So he had to take the time to return all of those, not only the time, but he lost money on those deals. And so that is a great example. I know that's probably in a very extreme example, but that's just one example. If you're saving, 1, 2, 3 refunds a month, I mean, that adds up on the money end, and it adds up on the time end.
And I think also keeping customers satisfied, as much as maybe some folks might think, okay, it's one extra step. I think I'd be a lot more frustrated if I paid for something, then found out I can't have it. Then maybe I'm calling you saying, when's my refund coming in? And that's just more time you're spending on the phone.
Yeah. And traditionally the zip code filter, and this is not for all cases, but traditionally the zip code filter is within the form. So the website visitor is already spending time filling out this form and then clicking submit, only to find out that their address or their zip code is not serviced. Doing it on the front end is such a great time saving, not only for your website visitor and for your business. So it just shows that your business cares about their time as much as they care about their time.
Another aspect that MSA can help with is in terms of where people are signing up. So I know for us, as a short little story, we were looking to expand south of us. And all of a sudden with MSA, we saw we got about 35 leads from a county north of us that we haven't gone into yet. So that allowed us to change our idea or our plan of where we thought there might be a buzz for the service, and we changed it. So can you maybe walk us through the pin situation? You can do different colors. There's a
Yeah.
lot of different things you can customize with MSA.
Exactly, and that was a great call with your dad. As a business owner, you appreciate those moments when your customer, you can see that kind of aha moment on a side note. But yeah, so the great thing about MSA is that when somebody enters in an address, whether they're in territory, out of territory, that a pin gets dropped on your MSA map. And so now you have this data visualization tool, if you will, to look at this map and color code, maybe green for in territory, red for out of territory. You can look at this map and see where there's potential growth opportunities, or where maybe you should, shrink your territory. Because just like, this business is route density. You want to create as much efficiency as possible. Like for example, this week of the month for me, I have, which I'm a small shop, but this week I average probably 40 or so stops a day, and it's fantastic because this week is like my model week where I'm only hitting a couple of neighborhoods each day because the density is so great in those areas, that it's a very profitable week for me in this business. But that map, it gives me great insight to where I can even put marketing efforts. Where should I invest dollars in growing? Because I don't know a system out there that does something like this, that gives you that good data visualization tool, not only of in territory but out of territory inquiries.
Well, it's fantastic because, like you said, you can put, let's say there's 30 pins in one area, then maybe when you're doing your every door direct mail or you're boosting social media, you're going to boost it in that area and maybe turn those 30 potential leads and double them. And hence, maybe then warrant going out there. And it's something I know I tell clients all the time. If you're driving all over with this business, you're never going to make money. So
Yeah.
the more times you're being repetitive, the better. And MSA definitely helps. I mean, it helped us. Perfect example. An area we always thought, oh, we're going to go there. Well, when there's actual clicks from somewhere else, it warrants changing your direction of your business. And another thing, we had a client of ours, Mike Lucci, he's out of New Jersey, and he came in for training the other day and he was showing us the MSA map. And he's like, 2 hours south of me, there's pins. And what's neat within the Sparkling Bins family, people can pass those leads along. So now, what I wanted to ask you is, you mentioned if you don't service the area, you give your email. What happens to those emails? Do they get sent to MSA? Are they generated together? Because then how does the business take the people they can't service and maybe save them for later to not lose future clients?
Another good question. So MSA, I guess there are two points there, but MSA captures the email address when they provide it. You can attach a Google sheet to MSA where all the information, the date, in area, out of area, the address, and did they leave a email. You can attach Google Sheets to that, so all that information is dumped into a Google Sheet. And if you use Mailchimp or a Constant Contact, or you have an email campaign marketing strategy, it just makes it easier to take that file and upload those emails to that system. And then referrals, which I think, did you kind of mentioned that, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so Mike
yeah,
Lucci was
yeah. Sorry.
mentioning he saw on his map, it was like 2 hours. Yeah, no, you're good.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
mentioned
yeah.
like two
So
hours south of him, there was other people.
yeah, so something great about the Sparkling Bins community and working with you guys is that if you're an MSA customer and a Sparkling Bins customer, you get added to the network. Now I know that you guys um, have two businesses there, and so maybe one website enters in an address that could be in the other business. They can say, hey, unfortunately we don't service your address, but our friends at Sparkling Bins do. Would you like to go to their website? And it transfers you to your website, and so there they can go and proceed to make the purchase or the request. So that is another great aspect of community and customer service, because people aren't browsing can cleaning websites for the heck of it. When they come to your website, they're looking to purchase a service and solve a problem. They don't want to clean their trash cans. They want somebody else to do it, and they're reaching out to you. So if you can't help them, it's always great when you can make a recommendation. I mean, I still do that with my competitors, which I really don't consider them competitors in my market. I am more than happy to refer business if it helps the end customer. But yeah,
Absolutely,
so
and that's important.
yeah, very important. So you know, there's much more value than saving time and money being part of the Sparkling Bins family and being an MSA user as well.
Once again, here inside of Trash Chatter, Victoria Conway alongside Chris Gentry, who created my service area, which assists with mapping your territory. When clients come onto your website and they give you your address, it automatically informs them if you can service them or not. And then it saves that information so you have it. You can reach back out to them at a later date, saves you from refunds. Another cool aspect Chris was just mentioning is you can refer it to another company so you can continue giving back to the trash bin cleaning community. And I think that's huge because we say it all the time. Your biggest competition, all of us, people don't know about the service. So we need to educate. And the more there's people that want their trash bins, the better for everyone. So as we proceed with MSA, Chris, one of the questions I had was, is there a certain type of website you need to have for it to be compatible? How does the behind the scenes work if somebody's wondering, it's a Sparkling Bins client, can I add this feature? And what's that process like? Is it pretty seamless? Are there certain steps? What's the behind the scenes like?
Right. Another good question. So MSA if you use WordPress, it's a plugin that you can add to your site. If you use, a custom website from somebody, or Wix or Squarespace, or a third party service like that, you just add a line of code to that website. Now there is a setup piece to my service area, and there's an associated fee with that. But we help you either facilitate the conversation to get the code on your site if you work with a website developer company, or I mean an independent person or a company. We help facilitate those conversations, whether it be getting the plug into them or the code to them. And then once that's done, we verify it, and then we do a Zoom call, which usually takes 45 minutes to an hour. And during that call, we set up your territories or make sure that your maps are where they want to be. We review the workflow flow language, because not we have default language in there, but I always recommend that make the language sound like your business. We go over the dashboard, and we get MSA connected to the right places within your site. We do some testing, and then it's go live. And one thing that I want to note for people that are just getting into the trash can cleaning business, or thinking about getting into the trash can cleaning business, or the minute you guys put a deposit down with sparkling bins, when you get that website up or that landing page, it's beneficial to add MSA to that page as well, because you're collecting those addresses. Even if you have to make your service area extra big, do it. At least you're collecting that information, and you can see where the inquiries are coming from. Because 9 times out of 10, you may not have a CRM yet in place, or a routing scheduling tool, the moment you put down a deposit. But having that website up or the landing page up is extremely important as you start marketing to your territory. So having that ability to capture that information is extremely valuable.
That brings up another point, Chris. For somebody, I'm going to say, I'm ignorant when it comes to websites. If I go to sparklingbins.com and want to sign up for service, is the first thing they're going to see MSA, or is it if I go to click on sign up? How would that aspect work? Is that customizable, or how does that process look like?
Completely customizable, and you're exactly right. So depending where you have MSA attached to, is where it's going to pop up in your workflow. So if you want it right at the very beginning, like Jason Proctor, when he launches his new site, it's going to be front and center, and it's going to be, let's make sure we service your address before we go any further. But others, you want them maybe to browse your website, what have you. I know some of the Sparkling Bins clients currently have the MSA window already showing above their buy boxes, their options, their monthly, quarterly, or one-time cleaning. The MSA window is just open until they fill it. Once they fill it, they don't have, and they're in territory, they don't have to enter in their address again. So there's multiple options there, and it just really comes down to the business's workflow and how they picture when a website visitor comes, how they picture that process to work for them.
You mentioned before that obviously if you do it from the get-go, it might be a little bit easier to weed out people who aren't in your service area. Now, let's say somebody like us, we've been in business for 10 plus years. Is the process any different in terms of adding MSA, or is it very similar to a brand new company starting out? Is there more work to be done?
No, the good thing about existing client is they already have a good idea of their service area. You know, so that makes the mapping probably a lot easier. For somebody new, they need to understand where the inquiries are coming from. And so that's why I say, hey, make your territory big. And so you can collect that information. Then you can look at the MSA map and go, wow, look at where I'm getting this traction. A good example is Josh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He added MSA to his website in the very beginning. And, when he launched, I think he had somewhere between 160, 180, addresses collected in information. So at the get-go, he was ready to roll. And he had a great reference tool within MSA to see where, where the traffic was coming from or the inquiries were coming from.
Well, Chris, I know we're big fans of it. It's something we're going to be adding to our turnkey package for our Sparkling Bins clients, picking up the first year of MSA to help them get their feet underground. And I think it's neat that you're somebody who also is in the business of cleaning bins, so you understand the behind the scenes and how as much as you can possibly automate something, the better for your company. So I want to thank you for introducing us to MSA. And before we let you go, Chris, how would you give maybe an elevator pitch as to why you should utilize MSA and why it's beneficial to your company?
Great. Thank you. So I would say if you want to save time and save money and just be create efficiency within your business, along with collecting information so you can use it at a higher level, where to grow, where to shrink, where to put marketing dollars, then MSA is a great tool for you. There possibly be some people out there that this isn't a fit for, and I completely understand that. But for the vast majority, it's a huge time saver, and like a lot of our customers currently say, it's a no brainer to add MSA to your website.
Once again, Chris Gentry from My Service Area, a software that allows you to map your territory, figure out where you're generating leads from, and saves you time and money. Thank you so much for taking some time, Chris, to break down your service. We look forward to continuing to work with you here at Sparkling Bins and appreciate you coming on to Trash Chatter.
Hey, thanks a million to everyone there, and certainly excited about working with you guys even further.
Once again, Trash Chatter airs every other Monday. Thank you guys so much for continuing to tune in on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcasts from. We're going to have exciting guests throughout the rest of season 3. So thank you again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.